Welcome back to the iRacing Driving School. We're going to continue our discussion on racecraft and passing. Let's talk technique. We'll start with aerodynamic drag. What is it? Aerodynamic drag is a force that acts upon race cars at all times when they're in motion. Additionally, as speed increases, aerodrag increases quadratically, meaning that as speed doubles, the aerodrag increases 4 times, using up more of the engine's horsepower to overcome this resistance. Aerodrag comes into play in passing because a car traveling at speed will create a hole in the air, leaving in its wake an area of lower resistance that can be to the benefit of the car behind it. This is commonly referred to as drafting. The execution of a pass by drafting is fairly straightforward. It's necessary to leave a slight gap to the competitor that you're trailing. Once on a straightaway, that gap, along with the vacuum created by the car ahead, will allow you to accelerate to a speed that may be 3 or 4 miles per hour faster than would normally be possible. You'll use that momentum as you pull out of the draft to go around the car ahead. Though the mechanics of this type of pass are pretty straightforward, there are a few other variables that you need to consider to consistently execute a safe pass. The first is closing rate. As you're running in the draft, you know that you're going to be accelerating and closing up on the car in front of you, so it should be fairly easy to judge the correct time to pull out of the draft to execute the pass. However, keep in mind that as you get closer to your competitor, you'll be reducing the amount of turbulence behind their car, thus momentarily creating a situation where they will also have a slight aerodynamic benefit as you pull out of the draft. That turbulence will come back into play, causing their car to accelerate less quickly, which will increase the closing rate briefly as you begin your execution of the pass. Keep this variable in mind so that you don't clip a front wheel or fender as you make your way around the other car. The other variable that you have to contend with when executing this type of pass is how to get back on the racing line. In a perfect world, when you execute a pass by drafting, you'll have enough momentum to be able to pull back in line in front of your competitor prior to the braking point for the next corner. But because your speed advantage will gradually deteriorate once you're out of the draft, you need to focus on your spatial awareness to keep track of your competitor to determine when, or if, you can get back online. Additionally, it's also important to note that there's some benefit to allowing a driver that is passing you back in line. If you hold position and both of you reach the next corner side by side, you'll both be subjected to lower cornering speeds because the passing driver is offline. Unfortunately, there are never any guarantees that either the corner exit pass or drafting techniques will allow you to fully pass a competitor on the straight. It's far more likely that you'll end up executing a pass in the braking zone at the end of a long straightaway. The braking zone pass can be executed in the following manner. First, position yourself next to your competitor as you reach the braking point. Secondly, as you approach your traditional turn-in point, keep in mind that you're going to have to turn in slightly later because you're a car width or more offline going into the corner. This also allows you to brake slightly deeper than your competitor because your turn-in target is slightly later. Turning in, you should find yourself on the correct line and aim towards the traditional apex. Then, be ready to get on the throttle. But keep in mind that you should be aware of where your competitor is located on the track. It's not unlikely that they may have tried to stay with you on the outside of the corner and maybe between you and your track out point. That takes care of passing techniques. Next, we'll go over important information about etiquette, defensive driving, and awareness on the racetrack.